y'all, I cannot see how much that y'all can see, and the way that Facebook makes us do the videos now makes that ain't cool. Makes this a little bit awkward. So let's see what I can do here to have you see as much as you can see. I have no idea how much you can see. Let me see if I can get this on here. I apologize if there was any way at all for me to know this already. I would have it done. Okay, there we are. And it's live and it's not showing much. This is a long sign. And let me see if I push the video back. Do you see more? I mean, the camera. Or we can just talk about it. You know what I mean? We can talk as we go and you don't have to see everything because it's not really a tutorial here. But I want to make sure that you can see as much of it as possible. I don't think that helped at all. Let's see if I can raise you up anymore. Oh, sorry about that. And I may have lost the whole thing. I've got the camera on my Akron mount. I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's my hand. Wow. Okay, I may have loosened up my mount too much there. Maybe asking too much of a Facebook video here. But I'm going to try one more time to raise this. Then we'll know for next time if that helps you to see more or not of the actual project. Trying to tighten the mount way up. Let me see. I'm going to try this also. We're not allowed to say these words on videos anymore, so I have this sign that I'm going to move through and see if that helps with focus. My video that I'm watching it on the tablet lags a little bit, so I think you do see more that way. So this is what we're gonna go with. Okay, which side are you seeing more of? It's backwards on the paint side. Okay, so we'll just move this on as we go. I marked the first thing I did, this is what they call a shingle. And this is my old shingle. We own a building in the historic district of our town, and this actually was a sign that was here from a business in the probably in the 50s. It still has their old hanging chains and things, or hanging things on it, and we had it outside. Through here you can see a little bit where it says vitamins, groceries, smoothies, and Get Healthy, which is my daytime business job name. Here at Get Healthy we have the Artisan Market, which is, you know, where I do a lot of my like my daytime studio painting and all that kind of stuff. And what I did and this was our signs, and I've decided to take that down and put something out. We still have other ones out there that say Get Healthy and Java Joe's and the Wellness Center and Spa or other businesses. But I decided to take this one down because we no longer do soup salad sandwiches, and I was going to make a new Get Healthy sign. But instead I decided to make something for the Artisan Market, and I painted over it with Dixie Belle caviar for the black. And then I wanted a little bit of some color to it, so I added some, just dry brushed around the edges, some Dixie Belle mermaid tail. And this side we're gonna put Sew and Love Couture, one of the businesses here, and then the other side of it we're gonna put Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush for my stuff there. But this is the front that's going to say Artisan Market. You'll be able to see it as you're walking down the sidewalk from both directions. I can see somebody's there, but I can't see whether, I I don't know who it is to know whether to ask you, can you see this clearly enough? And I'm having the issue that I see a lot of people having lately when they're filming with their iPhones, that the what do you call it? The focus goes in and out as you move your hands. So I apologize in advance. What I've done so far is measure from one end of this board to the other, which is right at 60 inches. So I actually made a little line here at 30 inches. And then I measured it the other way, which was 8 inches. So I made a little line here at 4 inches. So there's how I marked the center of my sign. And so this is all dry now, and I like the fact that you can see some of the old business stuff on the other side. But what I'm going to do is mark it up with chalk as to where I'm going to paint it. And I just got out some Dixie Belle colors that were already sitting here, just bright colors. We don't have a logo for the artisan market, so none of it, you know, none of that really matters. And these are Peony, Mermaid Tail, Plum Crazy, and Flamingo. And the only chalk I had here was blue, and I'm not going to worry about that too much either. Now I'm going to put artisan sort of centered on this side of that flower and mark it on the other side, ARTISAN. So that has 7 letters. Now here's my, I still have this. That has 7 letters. So the 7th letter, let's see what our distance is from one end of the flower to the other. We've got 27.5 inches there. We probably need to leave at least an inch there and at least an inch there for that to look good. So that's 25.5. So let's go with 25. So we'll come off of this edge, right? No, let's do it again. That's about, let's just say 28 so that I'm not confusing myself. Half of 28 is 14. So I'm going to put a little mark here, and that's around the 14, and that's going to be close to my center. And my hand lettering is not so great yet, so instead of practicing on that, which is what I intended on doing, I'm like, man, let's just wing it, because you know what, it's paint. If it looks ugly at the end, I'll just paint over it again. And I decided to do it in more than one color and sort of up and down a little bit, so I don't have to worry about whether or not it's in a straight line and all those things. But you still need to worry a little bit about placement of the words. So it's A-R-T-I, so we know our I will need to be right here, and so we can decide how big we want this to be. Pretty big to be seen by your sign. I mean, as they're walking down the sidewalk. But we gotta, I didn't measure how wide I want my letters to be. And then that's a big old S. Let's make our A kind of small so it'll look like I made that big old S on purpose. Can't make it that wide. I'm gonna make it that wide. Make it come way down here. So it looks like every mess up is on purpose. We'll angle that in. I'm gonna knock over this chair is what I'm fixing to do. So now I have to fit, and I know my mind works backwards, but this is the way it works. Now I need to fit A-R-T in here. Now, let's make the T small. We'll make the R big. And that leaves us room for a big old skinny A, but it at least should look similar to our other A, right? Square on bottom, flat on top. No, we're gonna have to make it small. And then we'll do the same thing for the word market on the other end. Hopefully this is not driving y'all too crazy to have all this movement. So we have 6 letters. We should be looking, what did we put over there? 14. Should be looking at, we ain't even looking at 28 here, but we'll come in until we do, because my flower petal's larger on that side. We're going to mark that 14 again. And we don't have that 7th letter this time, so this is actually going to be an empty space between M-A-R and K-E-T. So let's get that big old K in there. Big and tall. I made the others capital, so let's make these capital. I'm gonna angle this one down a little bit just for a variance. That's awfully low. So now I have this much room to fit M-A-R in. We're gonna make this M pretty close to this flower petal. Man, M's got a lot to them, don't they? M. I'm gonna go square on one side and pointy on the other. R small this time. Boom, there it is. So I should at least paint right to left. I mean left to right. I have that where you can see it, and I'm not wanting to alternate colors. I'm more wanting to got a little cup of water here. I'm more wanting to mix colors in each letter. Like maybe I'll outline them one way and then come back in with polka dots or stripes or something of the other colors. But I only got 2 brushes out, so we're going to see what we can make happen. How about that? Dampen my brush a little bit. Got a rag here. Let's see if we can make some letters get on here. Right over the chalk. Just right over it. I'm not worried about the texture, the thickness, the anything. Just getting it on here, because all of that will be part of the charm of the sign. And this may take more than one coat since we're going over black. want to just go from color to color. I've got 4 colors. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And including the flower, that would make 14. So, what's 14 divided by 4, Mary? 3.5.
Something.
Okay. Okay, she said. I'll probably sand over a little bit of this at the end to, you know, give it an even more time-worn look. That's why this absolutely doesn't matter at all if I stay in the lines of the chalk. If the paint's thicker and thinner, all of that's, you know, just go with the flow. Enjoy yourself painting. And then look at it when it's over and decide what you might want to tweak. Let me move that insert. And now we're going to do part of this in it. I'm thinking of, you know, somewhere between graffiti, which is so fancy nowadays, and something at a, you know, that children would have done. We actually have some child artists here at the Artisan Market. We have a painter and someone who makes lamps out of cypress knees that are both students. Getting this tea down at the end. Just not sure how much you can see on the video since it can't, since there's a time lag between what I can look at and see on my tablet and what I'm doing in real life here. Okay, that's enough of that one for now. That was Flamingo. And rinse out my brush and just start down here on the right where I'm at and go back left. I'm going to go with a little bit darker of these two. This one's called Plum Crazy, and it's stuck. Go, getting it open. This is a very pretty color too. It's very, not a whole lot different from this peony, but it's okay. That's what we had. You know, there's a lot of, it's very expensive to buy signs for your business, for one. We've spent thousands of dollars for signs over the years. And, you know, they don't last forever. But with something like this, if you're worried about every letter being perfect and, you know, having it look like a professional sign maker would make, that's very stressful. And we will probably use vinyl on the other side for the two business names, which is what I intended for this side. But I decided at the last minute that I felt like painting today. I missed you guys. I felt like sharing this on here. So this is what we're gonna do. And like I said, if it doesn't look good afterwards, if it looks too childish, I will paint back over it with the black and the teal and start all over. But I think that I read or heard or something somewhere not too long ago that when you're thinking about the sign for your business, it needs to go, you know, match your personality and have a, you know, a theme similar to what people might find inside. And there is a very eclectic group of funky fun things inside this artisan market. So I think the sign needs to represent handmade and off the wall and a little bit different and things like that as well. So that's what made me think, you know what, it doesn't have to look like what a traditional person would think is a beautiful sign. It has to, more likely would be good to be represented by the heart of the business here, which is, you know, funky and fun and you know, we aim to make everybody feel like they can do it too. So hopefully this sign will represent the style of the market and not look too juvenile and silly. But like I said, if it does, paint over it. It's just paint. I'm having a good time. Rinse it off. I'm going to go ahead and go with the peony. Ooh, I've left that one closed too long. Just going to kind of stir it up a little with my brush because it did need stirring, and I don't have a popsicle stick sitting here, and I'm not worrying at all about how much paint I've got on the brush there. So, or straight lines or anything of the sort, whether or not my colors are equally spaced. You know, I didn't know, because I've tried to make signs before, you know, from being a kid and wanting to have my own business and things like that. I did not know that artists, so this is about artists too, sign makers and artists and muralists and, you know, people like that, they don't just like go sit down at their canvas and put on all the letters and have them all be perfectly straight and aligned and how you want it. They actually, most of them use stencils nowadays, but they use projectors and they measure everything out, they draw everything on ahead of time with a pencil or a pen. They have, before they sit down, if you even have a sign painter, before they sit down to paint the sign, everything's there already and they're just filling in with color. And I didn't know that. I thought they were just so talented that they could sit down and make perfect letters every time, perfectly spaced, perfectly aligned. And the same thing with muralists. I thought they were just inspired to paint, so they got up and walked up to a huge wall. And that's just not reality. That's what so many people think about it. About artists, but in reality, most of them have a grid, and they, you know, nowadays everything's graphically done on the computer, and they have everything marked out on their perfect, you know, through images off of the computer on a grid, and, you know, the measurements of the outside of wherever they're putting the mural and all that are down there, so that when they get up to the actual, you know, wall or building or whatever to paint, they know what goes on every square inch, almost like a paint by number. And even though it may look free-handed, it was all planned ahead of time. And that's, you know, takes a lot of pressure off too, when you really believe that you know, you're not as talented as somebody else, or you can't do what they do, because look, you know, look what they just did, this big beautiful piece. And they didn't do that. They used a projector, they used a graphic design program, everything is planned, every square inch of those things is planned ahead of time. So if you're trying to compare yourself to a standard that a professional is not even meeting, that's hard. And I've been there and I've done that for years. I absolutely thought that that's how it was done. I thought sign makers got a paintbrush and walked up to the board and painted the dang sign. I had no idea the tricks of the trade and all of that go along with it. So now that I've learned, I can give myself a break and just have a good time, or I can plan everything out. If that was my style and I wanted it to look perfect, I could do that too. Or I could hire somebody and not even worry about it. Every bit of that can be done. I don't want to put that back in the top of my paint, like in the garbage can. Obviously at this stage, I'm going to need to let this layer of paint dry. I'll come in tomorrow and put another layer probably of all these same colors on here, just to get it a little more solid going through. And then I'll do squiggles and lines and polka dots and whatever sort of thing comes to mind, and give the letters a little more pizzazz. But I just came on to share this exercise because I wanted to hang out for one, but I wanted to, remind you to take some of the pressure off, have a good time. Everybody has an artist of some sort on the inside. You don't want to go all the way through life before you figure out what you have fun at. And I have fun at painting, and I almost let it pass me by because I was worried about not being good enough at it because I didn't paint like my mama painted or like my husband wanted. Now it's there, well, my mama's gone, but it's my husband's turn to just accept the fact that no telling what's going to come off the end of that brush, that I'm going to have a good time with it. And I think he's okay with that. It was just me. It wasn't him putting pressure. It was me. Everybody has in their mind and expectations of what an artist is, and that is changing in my mind every day. I think it's more, and it's all artists aren't free spirits either. But I think being free-spirited helps a lot. And all artists have, nobody wakes up knowing everything. All artists are, I think, inspired by things we see in nature and other artists and all those cool things. I'm going to do exactly what I said not to do and try to go around this a little bit. I'm going to put up that bigger brush and get this one. It's a little bit smaller, and go around this flower because I want it to swirl a little bit. So I want to get on here. Just go over where that chalk was at, right over it, just as if it was not even there. I'm going to use this mermaid tail to kind of tie it all together, since that's what I used around the edges. I would love to know what you're working on today, what you're thinking about working on, what you want to work on, what your next project is, what you want to learn, anything you would like to share. I would be so happy to know it. That's one of the perks of having this kind of outlet, is getting to share in the joys of other people's fun projects too. And part of the fun of this is I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see what I'm doing at all. And I don't care. Whatever I do, anybody who sees it's going to think I did it on purpose. Ta-da! Looks a little bit silly, but it looks a little bit fun. I believe if I saw this sign someplace, I would have to go up in their joint and see what was going on in there. So let me see if I can start on this end and move it slow without can you see the word art? This is so, no, you see the word sand. This is absolutely cray-cray trying to see what you see. Oh no, you can. There you go. I'm going to slide it real slow down. You know what? I just found some daisy over here. Tomorrow when I start putting lines and polka dots and things like that, I'll probably put some of that yellow in there too. But there you go for today. A fun way to make a hand lettered sign that doesn't put the pressure on you of knowing how to do hand lettering. That was fun. I appreciate you joining me, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Whew, low battery. We barely made it through that. Oh, I see there's comments now. There were none of those comments, y'all, showed up at all on my tablet. I'm sorry that happened, because I would have been, hey, Miss Charlie, and thank you for loving all the colors. You want to hand paint a picture on a bench? Just do it. Get yourself some chalk, because that's the easiest way, because if you make a mistake with, with a pencil, you can erase it, but if you make a mistake with the chalk, just wipe it back off with your finger, and at least get your placement and your outline and all of that stuff in there. That I'll put my other sign back up here, and all of that on the where you want to paint the picture. And that chalk is so freeing, and it opens up so much of your creativity, because you're not stressing about that part of it. The sort of getting the brush to the bench goes away, you know what I mean, because the chalk is on there, and you can at least be certain with that before you go down with it. And then again in the end, if you don't like it, even after you paint it, you just paint over it and you start all over again. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.